What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS.
The reason Kamala Harris is not getting into more depth about all of her possible programs, because I think if people find out, they're not going to be happy about it.
I hope that Kamala will win in the end. Mm-hmm.
What would be the policies that affect you most that drive you to vote for Kamala Harris?
Now, I'll be honest, I haven't paid enough attention to know her specific policies. It does seem like she's been there for the middle class, which a lot of my family is.
All right, joining us now with reaction is ESPN host, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. Do you want to get it out of the way now, how hard your life is, that you have to defend the fact that you admit that you're friends with me? You want to get that out of the way at the beginning or at the end?
No, I don't need to get that out of the way. The public knows that already. You get on my nerves. I don't agree with you 75% of the time, but you're still my buddy. You know, I feel bad for you half the time with some of the takes you give, but I'm here to help you out anyway. What's going on, Sean?
Okay. All right. I always say, you say to me, stay in my lane when I talk sports, stay in your lane on politics. However, there's something amazing. Putting aside any demographic group, if you're going to attack them, you want them to vote a certain way, and you're going to suggest that they are sexist or misogynistic, if you're going to suggest, like Stacey Abrams did, that African-American men are racist and sexist, is that a good way to encourage people to vote the way you'd like them to vote?
No, but I didn't hear Stacey. I didn't hear Stacey Abrams speak in that way. Matter of fact, she talked about how black men do vote. Black men do support Kamala Harris. Black men do support a lot of the Democrats and what have you. And she's absolutely right about that. You know, I spoke against President Barack Obama, who I know you don't like that, but I admire and respect this man. I did not like what he had to say at that particular clip that you showed, and I spoke out about it on my show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, and I'm unapologetic about that because I know, by and large, black men have always supported black women. That's a fact. That's a point of fact. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't some misogyny that does exist amongst a few in our community. But I think that when we looked at this election that's forthcoming, and we see Kamala Harris going up against Donald Trump, I don't think it's right to point to that as a reason why it's a nip and tuck race and why she isn't receiving the support that she deserves. And that is why I spoke out against what he had to say on that particular issue, because I was refuting what he was saying. I don't believe that to be the case at all when it comes to her.
All right, so let's stay on Kamala Harris for a second here. Democrats are in a state of panic. All the momentum seems to be going to Donald Trump. I told you this would happen in a private conversation we had. You were skeptical. I think I was proven right. You know sports better than I do. I think I know politics. I know.
You do.
But here's my question for you. You did call her out early, and you said she's making a mistake not doing interviews. Now, she does these interviews, and I argue to you that the reason she's struggling and she's like tied up in a pretzel, because she can't express what she has stated publicly, that she wants the Green New Deal, the elimination of the filibuster. She can't say she wants to eliminate private health insurance, as she has said in the past. She's not going to run on what she has stated in the past to decriminalize illegal immigration, free food, housing, health care, education, sex change operations, and a path to citizenship, or banning fracking, banning offshore drilling. So she has to, give us word salads, because she won't tell us how she really feels. She's hiding her true beliefs.
Well,
Donald Trump doesn't do that.
Well, first of all, that's a very long question. Let's get to it. Number one, you talk about what she's doing. Bottom line is this: as Vice President of the United States, it wasn't her job to lead. She has to go along with the program. You are a support base. You support the person that is in charge, who happened to be Joe Biden. That's number one. Number two, I know you're not talking about somebody being lucid and cogent and enunciating their thoughts with clarity, and you're bragging about Donald Trump. We can't be watching the same stuff if that's what you're doing. You ain't going to do that today. Now, Lindsey Graham, hold it. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham is about to come on this show.
Let me tell you something.
That man can articulate himself very well. Not Donald Trump now.
Listen, guys, when Stephen A. Smith went on Sean Hannity's show on Fox many months ago, and he was trying to say that black people related to Donald Trump because of his convictions, that made me so furious. It really did. It was embarrassing. It was like a new low for someone that has such a loud voice and a large platform to go on to his show to say some BS like that. To say, oh, well, now that he's got a mugshot, black people, especially black men, they relate with him so much more. It was insulting. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith has ever been arrested. I don't believe he has. But there are a whole lot of black people who have never been arrested, and even some that have been arrested, and not just arrested because we already know that arrests doesn't mean conviction. It doesn't mean guilty, because there have been a lot of people who were arrested that never had any charges pursued, and charges may have been dropped, or it was just a situation. But this man has right now standing on 39 criminal convictions, as well as the civil complaints that he has lost in court, and so many more lawsuits to come, and other possible criminal charges. God willing, he loses this election and those things are pursued and will make it to the end, and he will get the justice that he is deserving of. But to try to relate him to black people, it was insulting, and I just couldn't stand it. But I would have to say that after this, I'm not saying this makes me a fan of him, but I have to give the claps of congratulations and thank you where it is due, because I would say in this moment, he's redeemed himself in the eyes of a lot of people who really felt like he did a disservice by going on Fox News to say that black people were relating to Trump because of his convictions. That was just ridiculous. I don't know what he was on. If he was on something, I don't know. I'm not saying that he was, but actually trying to give him the benefit to say, well, maybe he was a little bit inebriated and tipsy to go on there and to say some stupid mess like that, because that was just asinine. But I loved what he said. He stood his ground, and he let Stephen A. Smith let Sean Hannity know to his face that Donald Trump is a liar. And you can't come at us with this nonsense and try to spin narratives to try to make Kamala out to be something that she's not, and try to say that Kamala isn't honest, or she isn't, really giving us anything when it comes to true policies and this and that and the other, because Donald Trump is on a retribution tour. He wants to get back in office because he's running from prison, not running for president, and to be able to wield that power to try to go after his so-called political enemies and to shut people's mouths who share their opinions about him that are not favorable to him. So I love the fact that he did that, and God willing, this continues up until not just election day, but even after, because we already know that Donald Trump is going to be sitting there bamming the tables, throwing ketchup bottles at the wall, and McDonald's hamburgers and everything else that he can get his hands on when he sees that things are not going in his way. I just know that there are going to be challenges after, because we have never heard anything about stolen elections until he lost. I'm quite sure Hillary Clinton felt that way, and it actually was stolen from her because it was proven that Russia did interfere in that election. So yeah, there was a stolen election, but it was stolen the first time he won. And there was Russian interference in the second, and thankfully it didn't help him that time. But prior to him, we never heard anything about elections being stolen, people making fraudulent ballots, people voting several times, all other nonsense. We know that does not happen, because people who have the right and the privilege to vote and who actually are registered, a lot of them don't exercise their civic duty or their privilege. And there's a whole lot more people that aren't even registered that are just checked out because they don't want to have anything to do with it. But yet your lives are affected by it, whether you believe it and like it or not. So I would have to say Stephen A. Smith definitely redeemed himself in that department. We know there's a whole lot of other things that he says at times where it's like, really, dude? But with this, I have to give credit to where credit is due, and I'm so happy about that. But you guys let me know your thoughts.
You know when you turn me around, when the neighbors yell turn down, we keep it going like bum bum bum. Throw it back then rotation, cigarettes in the season, shine bright as that season. Girl, you know you are a jam 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 jam. Sounding like you're wasting every time. Jam,
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.